Rachel, and hopefully, does everybody see me on their screen? Am I the major person they're seeing? Hopefully. I'm just going to start with a brief introduction of the program, who I am, and we're going to just get started with the PowerPoint. We're going to try to keep this to a half an hour. We very much apologize for the delay with technical difficulties. We're hoping to either get this program down pat or maybe have a start a new one for the next training, maybe. So my name's Rachel Bowers. I am a therapist and a mom. I'm living currently in Australia, even though obviously you can tell that I'm from the United States. I'm just here temporarily for a year for my husband's work. And I also am a blogger at fullmotherhood.com. I blog about emotional wellness, kind of using my experiences as a therapist. And my son is Harrison. He's 2 years old, and he's very spunky and active. But overall, it's been great being a mom. And just to give you a little background about how we got started, so Julia and I have actually, even though we've had plenty of phone conversations and Skype calls and stuff, we've never met each other in person. She is a blogger at Projects in Parenting, and she'll tell you a little bit more about that. But you know, we connected through that. We had very similar perspectives on parenting and similar perspectives on what we wanted to accomplish with our blogs, and connected through that. And then one day she just messages me and says, "Hey, can you call me?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm in Australia. Are you okay with international calls?" And I called her, and she said, "I have this idea for this mom's mentoring program, and would you like to join?" So and start it with me. So I was over the moon, and it's been a great experience so far. It's been great learning for us, and we're really hopeful that this is going to be a very beneficial program to the moms that we serve and the mentees. So I'm going to turn it over to Julia. She's going to be talking, but I'm going to be sharing my screen. So you're going to be seeing the, actually, I'll let people see you, actually, Julia, for a couple of minutes, and then when you're ready to start the PowerPoint, you can just let me know, and then I'll share my screen. So
okay,
over to you, Julia.
Hi, my name is Julia Henricks, and I blog at projectsinparenting.com. And I just started that because I was a stir-crazy mom like Rachel. We just have this whole program kind of embodies what we're going through of wanting more out of motherhood, and being moms and counselors, and have twins who are going to be 1 year old on Monday, and a toddler who's turning 3 next week. And I also am a professional counselor, and I have experience as a school counselor, so I have a lot of experience with career exploration and motivation, self-efficacy, discipline, behavior management, as well as mental health, family systems background. And I just want to feel like I'm a part of something bigger and meaningful while yet being a mom. And I think that's what Rachel's kind of striving for too. And a lot of moms, we kind of lose a little bit of ourselves if we make the decision to stay home or work part-time, or we're so busy we give up a lot of our other passions and interests. And this is just a way for us to maintain kind of a piece of that in motherhood. And hopefully have other mothers kind of navigate through what that looks like for them too. So we're going to just go over the mission and philosophy of the program, as well as the kind of responsibilities and expectations of our mentors, and some basic helping skills that you can use in your mentoring sessions. Moms with the tools and resources to support one another in discovering kind of ourselves in motherhood, so to speak, our identity, purpose, strengths, both inside and outside of motherhood. And our philosophy is that we really want to be intentional. So reaching out to moms intentionally as the mentors, that we're not waiting for them to call us, but that we're pursuing them, and that we're digging deeper and asking kind of the tougher questions, and we're being authentic, to being true and genuine and honest, that we're not like one-upping anyone or we have everything together, that we help disarm our mentees so that they feel free to share, and that we offer support without judgment. So this is a group for people from all different backgrounds: attachment, sleep training, positive, respectful parenting, parents who give timeouts, it's Fagans, that's is all inclusive. So it's not a replacement for more targeted Facebook groups to validate or give how-to advice on breastfeeding or positive parenting. It's more a place for us to help parents find their own voice and strengths and values in parenting, and that we accept helping moms do that and not telling them and how they need to do it, that they're looking for us for reassurance, but that we're helping them discover that for themselves. And that we believe self-awareness is the first step towards self-acceptance and personal growth. And we also believe in emotional wellness. So we're going to help with overcoming disappointment, talk about anxiety, depression, connect people with resources, and we just believe in the impact on our relationships and relationships with our kids, our partners, and how our emotional wellness can impact, our thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs, and helping moms dig deeper and unpack that. Our program goals really boil down to a belief that when there's some congruence between who we want to be as a mom and our expectations for ourselves in motherhood and then who we are, there's more satisfaction and joy and contentment. When there's a gap between maybe what we expected, what we want to be, and where we're at currently, that there's going to be frustration, dissatisfaction. So the way to close that gap is to help decrease conditions of worth or, beliefs of what I should be doing, what someone else is doing, what I'm not doing, all those different shoulds and woulds and coulds, and lower maybe expectations, or to help moms just increase their positive self-regard, so acceptance of their own strengths. So that comes in just really encouraging moms, providing affirmation, and then also helping moms increase their self-efficacy or their belief in their ability to set small goals and achieve them, their belief in their ability to become the parent that they want to be through encouraging how they've maybe dealt with problems in the past and use their strengths to do so, and just letting them know that we believe they can do that and we believe they'll get through it and things will get better. There's 4 pieces to the program. So we have our guided curriculum, which we'll post every Monday, and it's content that Rachel or I wrote, and it will also include some guided questions that you can follow up during your one-on-one mentoring sessions. And we ask that would be 30 minutes per week that you're reaching out, and we try to pair mothers based on identified needs, strengths, and also family factors, values, and beliefs. Obviously, we did the best that we could. People that we are really confident and feel really satisfied with the matches that we have, and we're excited about that. So that's the next component, is the mentoring for half hour per week. And then we have our online mentoring network using a Facebook group, Moms Mentoring Moms. So this is a Facebook community of mentoring moms where we can ask questions, share resources, share goals, and connect. Then the last piece is that we just ask that you reach out to us if there's ways that we can improve the program, add resources, maybe do things differently, that we're just here to provide support to you as you're helping your mentors. If you need resources from us, feel free to reach out.
And Julia, if you don't mind me adding, we had a question about the 30 weeks of contact, 30 minutes of contact per week from someone. It was regarding whether or not that 30 minutes has to take place in one chunk. And I think that we can be kind of flexible in our approach to that, because obviously, if you're in the middle of your mentoring session and your baby wakes up, it's 10 o'clock and your baby wakes up and is hungry, we don't expect you to obviously, go, I'm sorry, I can't feed you right now, I'm with my mentee or my mentor. But we do ask that it total 30 minutes a week, and that there are actual, that there are at least some conversations that are taking place organically and back to back. I think that's important, that happens sometimes, at least in the mentoring relationship, and not that it's just per email back and forth, just because I think that it's important to have some support that is just kind of unfolding in the present. But I also, understand that things will come up. So if you want to try to start with, reserving a 30-minute chunk of time, and then whatever happens, that's fine.
Start with more too, just knowing that relationships take time to develop, that maybe, in 4 weeks from now, it might be a lot of Facebook chatting back and forth, but first to get to know someone, that you maybe set aside 45 minutes or to an hour, but 30 minutes is just the minimum that we're asking. But definitely down the road, it could be less informal once you have that relationship established.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have our curriculum just follows mentoring moms, starting with letting moms find their Myers-Briggs or their mother styles and strengths. And so as you can tell, Rachel and I are peas. We don't have this started on time today. But that's something that we're all going to kind of have fun talking about together. Emotional health and wellness, discipline, trust versus anxiety, overcoming disappointment, renegotiating roles, with our in marriage or with our partner, identity inside and outside of motherhood, building a support network, guilt versus self-compassion, mission or motivation, outreaching to other new moms, giving back and what that can do for us and what that could look like, marriage with children, and self-care.
And to add to that too, I think with the Myers-Briggs, just so for people that aren't as aware of what it is, it's a personality profile that gives you 4 letters that breaks down your personality into some different categories. And it doesn't totally box you in, but there is a great book called Mother Styles that takes your Myers-Briggs personality and kind of shows you what your strengths and weaknesses may be as a mom. It's a great book, and we thought it would be really great to use with moms because it can start them off with that self-awareness.
So after this training, if you just want to like this on Facebook so we know that you've completed this training, then reach out over the weekend if you can to your mentee and set up a time to connect this next week. Then Monday we'll post our first content for you to review, and anytime throughout the week you guys can connect to talk about that. And that's going to be every week, every Monday. That's a part of what you're signing up for, is to review that and meet with your mentee. Then optional is participation in the Facebook group, as much or little as you would like, but throughout the week we'll have kind of a flow of what that looks like that we'll talk about in a second. And you can respond to questions, post questions, and then finally that this is just a 15-week program that you're committing to. And after that time, you can continue a relationship with your mentor, or mentee, or you can apply for a new mentor relationship, or you can decide to discontinue the program.
Mm-hmm. And also to piggyback on that too, I'm surprised, this question is probably the most common question we got: can I be a mentee and a mentor? And I think that really speaks to just the journey of motherhood, that we feel like there's some areas of motherhood that we can really provide some strength and some guidance and wisdom in, and then others that we feel like we have no idea what we're doing. So if you find that after this program, even if you were just a mentor this one time, because we do have some people that are doing both at the same time, and you think, I could use some guidance in this area, or I would love to see if I could get paired with a mentor in this area. Feel free to hit us up for that, or feel free to pass the word to other people that if they think that they couldn't be a mentor, but you see them as having some strengths that they could offer to a mom, encouraging them to sign up as a mentor as well as mentee if they would like to. So we're definitely open to that.
Okay, so Monday we're going to post the content. Tuesday we're going to post a Q&A thread. So under our Do We Have Questions, you can kind of review the questions that people have and answer to the ones that you would like to. Wednesday we'll have a group question of the week to get to know each other in the group. For instance, what is your mother styles, things like that. Friday we'll have a resource share. We might just post another article, and if you want to post articles related to that week topic, that would be great, and we'll share them on a resource file. And then Sunday, people can set kind of their goals for next week. Maybe just a small goal, whether it has to do with parenting or not, that doesn't matter. Just what are they looking forward to in the next week that they can accomplish. So more expectations, confidentiality. Obviously, we don't want to be on the Facebook group sharing what someone shared with us privately. That's up to people to speak for themselves. We don't want to be sharing the name and information that we're entrusted with from our mentee. Availability, that you just really make an effort to be intentional and available, and if you commit, that we commit to this process. It can be done when it's done, but if we're signing on, that we want to honor our commitment. Cultural sensitivity, we ask that all mentors demonstrate cultural sensitivity and refrain from passing judgment on their mentee's culture, religion, sexuality, age, race, gender, identity, and parenting style. So we tried to pair people with similar parenting philosophies and faith backgrounds. However, we ask that you let your mentee take the lead, that we're not just diving in and giving our own parenting philosophy, and that we're not discussing faith or spirituality without kind of a lead from our mentee. That may be something they want, it may not. We tried to pair people together, but we ask that we're listening first for other people's values and interests and how we can encourage them. And do no harm. It may at times, you may disagree with their choices that they make when it comes to parenting or life choices. However, if we have personal biases or values that are leading us to judgment, we're likely going to be doing more harm than good, and so it's best to contact Rachel or myself and let us know if it's a problem so we can assign a new mentor, because that's, the best thing we can do is to cause no harm, and it definitely could be harmful if we're trying to press our views or being judgmental.
Absolutely. And I think that I want to stress that, Julie and I both have counseling backgrounds. We've both dealt with, intense situations in our work. So we're here for you guys. We really appreciate that you would take on this opportunity and provide a service to another mom. So we don't take your commitment or your responsibility lightly. And we really encourage that if you need support, whether or not it's just a concern that you need us to have addressed, or if you're like, this mom's really having a tough time and I feel awful for her and I just don't know what to do or to say, feel free to contact us. I'm more than fine just emailing back and forth with you or talking with you on the phone if that's helpful. We know from our lines of work, Julie and I, that this can be an emotional type of work, and it can be a little bit, a little scary sometimes if you're not sure what to do or what to say. So we're here to help.
Mm-hmm. Now, Rachel, go ahead and talk about some helping skills for us. Sorry, Rachel, I just was going to transition over to you.
No, you should have introduced me. I guess I was just taking over. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about just some conversational skills, and some of these might seem very basic and very, like duh, but sometimes it's important to remind ourselves of how to engage with somebody and how to connect with somebody. So one of the types of questions that you can begin to ask your mentor, begin to use in your mentoring relationship, is some open-ended questions. So sometimes we ask a lot of questions that have a simple yes or no, but if a person can say yes or no, they might not elaborate, so they might not really open up or give you more information. So an open-ended question can't be answered with yes or no. It demonstrates interest, and it helps reveal thoughts, feelings, values, and beliefs. A great opening statement that you can use every single mentoring session you have is, tell me what's been happening since we last met. That way, it's not saying, have you had a good week? Yes or no. Or are you feeling good this week? Yeah. It opens it up for a deeper conversation. Also, we want to be sensitive that although you will mostly talk about problems and issues that the moms are facing, try to ask some problem-free questions to keep the mom really positive and empowered. When we just sit and talk about problems with people, sometimes we end up feeling worse by the end of the conversation. So some problem-free questions you can ask are, tell me about the best part of the week. What's one thing that's going well right now? Or what was different when things were going well? And helping them identify the positives. Also, there's solution-focused, or what's called strengths-based questions. And these are just trying to help keep the mom focused on a solution. I think that there's obviously a power in venting, but what I see in a lot of Facebook mom groups, and this is why we want to take this program deeper than a Facebook mother group, is that some people just vent, and then other people just, go, oh yeah, I get that, but then it doesn't go anywhere. And sometimes you might be left with those feelings and not really know what your next step is. So solution focus keeps the mom focused on what she can do next or how she can feel empowered to address the situation. So what's been helpful? What have kept things from getting worse? What is it going to take to make things better? Tell me about a time you handled something really well. What do you think is going to be your biggest asset in addressing this problem? So those questions, especially tell me about a time when you handled something really well, is helping the mom also understand that she can use the strengths that she has as a person to address a problem or a situation in her life, that she has it within her to address it if she just tries to tap into that strength. And then also some change talk and acceptance questions to kind of help a mom understand, and I think this is one of the greatest challenges of motherhood. What do I just need to learn to accept, and what do I need to learn to change, right? So one of our favorite questions in the therapy world is called the miracle question, and it's, if you woke up tomorrow and your life would be perfect, what would have changed for you? And that's really helping identify, what does this mom really want to have change in her life? Or how would making this change impact your life? And so also helping the mentee differentiate between what you can change and what you can accept. If you learn to accept this or change your perspective on it, instead of feeling like the problem needs to change on the outside, what would change for you? And I think that that's actually going to be probably the meat and potatoes of the work that you do, is helping moms try to accept that there are societal expectations, that there are judgmental people out there, that motherhood is uncertain and you can't be sure what the right thing to do is all the time. Those are big things that take a long time to work through and accept. So sometimes it's not just about what the mom needs to change, it's also about accepting. So just some things about listening too, because that's also important. Mindful listening, trying to put aside your distractions while you're with your mentee, whether it's putting down your phone or making sure that your Facebook app isn't open at the same time and you're getting messages from other people, or making sure that there's no distractions in the room so you can really focus and be mindful. And refrain from thinking about your response while the person is still communicating. That's a really hard skill to learn, but trying to really let it soak in and be comfortable with silence. If you're online, you can use that silence as a tool, because you don't have to respond to someone right away. And even if you're on the phone, it's okay for there to be a pause, because then you can really think about what you're going to say before you respond to it. Also, reflective listening. So sum up the person's points and ask if you're correct in your perceptions. And that just helps clarify that you're on the right track with what they're trying to communicate with you. So something like, it sounds like breastfeeding is a major source of stress for you right now, if the mom's talking about breastfeeding not working so well. Clarifying questions, ask for more information or ask the person to tell you in a different way. So, like if a mom says, I just don't feel like a good mom, you could say, well, what do you mean when you say you don't feel like a good mom? It's helping them clarify those feelings and get to kind of the self-awareness that they need to in order to figure out how to move forward. Mm-hmm. And then validation and empathy. This is, again, I think one of the most important tools that mentors have. Sometimes it's really not about having the answers for these moms. It's just about validating their feelings and being empathetic. And I think that that's what we're all looking for as moms. So we're looking for connection and understanding. We're looking for somebody to say, it's okay. I felt this way too. It's normal. You're not crazy, or you're not a bad mom. And you could say, I can imagine. If you can't completely relate, you can say, I can imagine that feels overwhelming. And then you're kind of helping them put their feelings into words. This problem-solving model is something that you can use if you'd like to have a more structured approach to your mentoring sessions. So I'm not telling you this is the way that you need to run your mentoring sessions. It's just kind of something that you can refer to if you feel like you kind of get on a track of just talking in circles with your mentee and not feeling like you're moving forward. So during conversations with your mentee and your mentee having the conversation with you, you can first help identify what the problem is. And even though that sounds very simple, sometimes we have, layers of problems. For me, when I had a difficult time with breastfeeding, it wasn't really the difficulties of breastfeeding that was the main problem for me. It was the stress and the pressure I put on myself to breastfeed that was really causing more of the problem than anything. And the societal expectations I put on myself and the pressures. So I heard tons of moms tell me, a million things I could be doing, all the vitamin supplements I could do, all the pumping, and all of that didn't help, because even I would try and nothing was working. And I think really if I would have worked through my stress first, then maybe I would have been able to empower myself to use those tools and calm myself and maybe produce more milk, or maybe successfully breastfeed. But that wasn't really the heart of the problem, was the breastfeeding challenges. It was what I perceived them. Also then just offer the validation and support, which is probably the most important part. But then at that point, you want to brainstorm some options. What are some options for them to address this in the next week? And that's where you can kind of help identify what the action plan is out of those options. So if it's a mom that's maybe struggling, again, I use the breastfeeding example, or and that she's not getting support. Could you go to a La Leche League meeting, or could you go see a lactation consultant? Maybe, being able to say to a mentee, why don't you try to do this week? Having that accountability that there is somebody that encouraged her to do something, and that next week she's going to have to talk to them about it, might be the motivation she needs to take action.
I'm going to jump in real quick, Rachel, and say also, doing your best to put back on them to brainstorm some options. Is this something you want to change? And letting them as well. Obviously, you can brainstorm with them, but
absolutely, yeah, you're right. We want to be mindful not to push all of our suggestions on them, but to be open to what they think would be the best options for them, and then to identify what they're going to actually decide to go with. Then you always want to end the session with some positive feedback, compliment, or an affirmation, like, hey, even if it was a really tough session where the mom was just dumping all of these difficult emotions and just really struggling, you can even say, I really appreciate how vulnerable you're being with me. I really appreciate that you're talking to somebody. That's so important that you're talking to somebody about this and not keeping it in, because so many moms feel shame and they let that keep them from getting help or getting some support. So just make sure that you're always helping that mentee feel that at the end of the session that they feel empowered, and that they feel that there is a strength within what they were bringing to you that day. And then you want to follow up the next meeting with what you talked about. Hey, were you able to go to that meeting this week? Or, hey, were you able to sit down and have that conversation with your husband? Or, hey, have you been able to talk to yourself more gently this week? Just so that there's some continuity in your sessions, and that you're really trying to help this mom move towards change and more self-awareness. So I want to make sure that we're not going over in the training, since we already have started a lot later than we expected to. So I was going to do this as like a discussion exercise, but I think I'm just going to just have you guys think about this on your own. I just want you to take some time before you start your mentoring relationship with your mentee to reflect on the mentors in your life, whether or not they were official mentors or just teachers, parents, spiritual guides. What qualities they embodied, what did they do, what did they not do, what was helpful, what was not helpful, and think about what you want to embody for your mentee. I think, just taking that time to have that self-awareness of what you truly want to be goes back to our program goal of the expectations of who you want to be and actually being that. It starts with being aware. So try to be aware of what you really want to embody, and maybe even think of a goal or two that you have. I want to make sure that I am providing honesty with my mentee, or I want to make sure that I'm providing respect to my mentee. Try to pick a couple values that are going to guide your work. I included this quote because I really like it. Getting the most out of life isn't about how much you keep for yourself, but how much you pour into others. So I really hope that you're doing a service for another mom, but we also hope that we see mentors grow from this experience too. And at the end of the program, we're going to ask for you guys to, maybe provide some testimonials or some insight into what was helpful and what you got out of the program, as well as what we can continue to improve on. But we're hoping that you'll find this program helpful to you. And I like this too. There's no need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfections. I think it's really easy to think, especially when you're a mom, like, oh God, like I just yelled at my kids yesterday and now I have to go into a mentee session and talk to her about dealing with her stress appropriately. We're not asking you to be perfect. We're not asking you to be on this pedestal of motherhood. I'm not, Julia's not, and we're still blogging about this is emotional wellness, because you're worth it and you're valuable enough, even with your imperfections, to these moms. So I hope that you remember that if you're not having a perfect day, that doesn't make you any less valuable to your mentee. Just some ideas for mediums for online contact. You can use Skype, FaceTime for iPhones if you both have iPhones, Google Hangouts, although after this training, I don't know if it's the best program to use since we had so many problems, or some type of video conferencing that they have lots of different apps online. Those are face-to-face apps, and we really want the mentee to make the decision about what medium they'd like to start off with. We do have a couple mentees that have been open that they're shy, and they might want to chat, and they might never get to the point where they want to have a video or a Skype, and that's okay. But we want to make sure that the mentee feels the most comfortable with the medium chosen. You can also use chat programs such as ChatStep, WhatsApp, Google Hangouts, I think also has a chat program. Texting, calling, but if you're, I want to caution though, if you're not comfortable with calling and giving the mentee your personal phone number, we completely support that. So that's something that you decide on your own. You have to be comfortable with the medium as well. Facebook Messenger or email. And you can use Facebook Messenger and not be friends with somebody on Facebook if you're not aware, but it is a separate folder that those messages come into. So make sure that if you are uncomfortable with being friends on Facebook with your mentee, but they want to Facebook message you, that you're checking that alternate folder It should be like I think on my app, it says filtered messages, and you click on that and it'll show you messages. So now that I've told you this, some of you might go in and see messages from people from years ago, like I did. Like I think I went in like 6 or 7 months ago, and there was like a message from an ex-boyfriend of mine, like from 4 years ago. So it'll be, you might open up a treasure trove of messages now that you know that. Or you can use email. But again, we hope that there are some conversations that are more taking present in the moment. So some potential challenges that you might encounter that we want to make sure that you know what to do if you do. If you have a mentee that's just not responding to you, just troubleshoot any scheduling issues first. Reaffirm that they want to be in the program. Just say, I'm just making sure that this is something you still want to do. And if they are still unresponsive, contact me or Julia, and we will contact them. And if they are unresponsive to us, then we will try to find you a new mentee. We hope that doesn't happen, but we know that sometimes people get excited about being involved in something and then let things fall to the wayside. If they disclose domestic violence or child abuse, inform them that they will need to consult with me or Julia. We are going to tackle these issues on a case-by-case basis. We cannot tell you exactly how we will address each one because it will really depend on the situation. It is important to know that spanking is legal in most in the United States, and in each state there's actually different like regulations about how you can spank your child. But so that would probably not be something that you need to disclose to us. But we want to make sure that we are aware if these things are going on, because Julia and I have an ethical obligation to children if we know that if they're in an unsafe situation. There's also a resources guide on our Facebook group page. If you click on resources, there is a document that has domestic violence hotlines, that has suicide hotlines, that has maternal mental health websites, that will provide a directory of therapists and support groups. Please utilize that. If you want to come to me with a mom with an issue and you're not comfortable telling her or giving her that resource, I have no problem doing that myself if you'd like me to, but I would prefer it to come from you because the mentee will have more trust with you. But you can always consult with us on any issue. So if they express concerns for safety of self or have severe mental health issues that you're concerned about that are not being currently treated, provide resources in the resources guide, and then you can consult with me or Julia to assist with follow-up. Asked people if they're currently in treatment for maternal mental health issues, but I think that if a mom's opening up to you about some severe mental health issues, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, have you gotten help? What kind of help have you gotten? Just to make sure that they're getting some professional assistance. If you are no longer able to fulfill your mental obligations during the 15-week program, please contact me or Julia first before you discuss with the mentee. And then we ask that you actually do discuss the mentee, allow the mentee to have one final session to ensure that there's some closure for them. And then ensure that me or Julia will we'll give her a new mentor assignment. Also, if you don't feel that your mentee is a good fit for you, and we want you to not take this too lightly in terms of I just don't think we're working out. We really want you to try, but consult with me and Julia first. We might give you some troubleshooting tips, and then we may meet with both of you or just your mentee and try to see whether or not there needs to be a final decision about a change. We don't want to just say, oh, it's not working out, okay, we'll make a change. We want to make sure that we're doing that on a case-by-case basis and really kind of decipher whether or not there's a way we can make it work.